Good. We got everything. Recording. Somebody's here. Julie's here. Michelle's here. Hello, hello, hello. If you could write, Julie says hello in the chat. Thank you. You can see and hear me. You know the drill. Michelle, you've never been here before. Hello. Welcome. What I need you to do is you can just go into chat. And if you can just write that you can see and hear me. I don't know if I always talk about using the Q&A, but I think I like the chat better. So for now, and then everybody else can see it too. So Michelle, if you see the chat down at the bottom, you'll see chat, you'll see share, you'll see polling. If you can just say if you can see and hear me, that would be really good. Michelle, 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 can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? And while everybody's coming on, I have things for you to read. I've got a new book. Well, it's a very old book, but it's a great book. It's called Real Happiness, The Power of Meditation by Sharon Salzberg. Julie, this is for you especially because I know you're going to need something new to read. But the reason that I want to use this is because, the reason that I want to use this and talk about this today is because I still think that the key to every success that you want to have in life is how you talk to yourself and how to take care of yourself. And it just never ends. And I think that the Buddhist mentality and the people that teach it, Sharon Salzberg is one of the originals of Insight Meditation in Barre, Massachusetts. It was the first Insight Meditation site opened, and then Spirit Rock was the next one. But hi, Caroline. Can you see me and can you hear me? Can you just write it in the chat button? I think I'm going to stay in the chat today and get rid of Q&A. I'm going to get rid of it. Can you see me and can you hear me, Caroline? Down at the bottom of your screen? Yes, you can. Michelle, can you see me? Can you hear me? You're the only one you're in the Q&A. Let's see. Maybe you wrote it there. I can't use chat. It won't let me type. Okay, no problem, Michelle. Just Q&A is great. And I'm going to call on you today, so get prepared. Get yourself all ready. So we have a new person today, Michelle, and Caroline was new last week, and everybody's coming on today to have a chat with me so we can all get to know each other. Yeah, Michelle's ready. I knew you would be, Michelle. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because there's a lot of coaching that needs to be done. But I really want you to read what I wrote here. And, the more I coach people, the more I coach people, the more I realize one thing is that no matter, and this is for myself too, my husband just said, I really have noticed lately that you've been really hard on yourself. It's like, come on. He's not kidding. And it's so nice to have somebody that has that awareness that can just kind of point it out to you, because I think it's just in our brains, it's like a natural place to go. It's like, I think I need to help you get with the program a little bit more than what you're doing, girl. And so here comes this, I'm going to get really, really hard on you and really get you going. And it feels like crap every time you do it. So if you want to know how hard you are on yourself, just go inside and see how you feel. If you're not feeling real good, it's probably because you're saying something to yourself that doesn't feel good. So Sharon Salzberg wrote a book, and it was one of her first, called Real Happiness, The Power of Meditation. And I just want to read a little bit about what she says in the beginning about why she wrote this book and why she got into meditation. And this is a quote from the Buddha, so I like it even better. You could search the world over and never find anyone as deserving of your love as yourself. Right? And I think we all think the opposite. And then he goes on to say, this is something that we must nurture, since it's the foundation for being able to love and care for others. So, like he said this thousands and thousands of years ago, and yet most women that I coach, especially in the beginning, have it turned around. Like, I got to take care of everybody else. And then when everybody else is taken care of and I have a little time for myself, then I'm going to start taking care of myself. And you know what? There's a lot of people, a lot of very, very wise, enlightened people that are telling us that we've got it backwards. So, Sharon Salzberg is the princess queen of loving kindness meditation. And so, it's a different way to develop loving kindness, which is it's a meditation. And it's so simple that I wanted to teach it to you and explained a little bit about the benefits of it and how you can use it in your everyday life. And you can also get the book because I think that she has the most simplistic way of showing you how to do a meditation. And she has guided meditations in her book also, if you get it on audio, especially. But she just simplifies it. I think she has it's 28 days. So every day you do something a little bit different, very short, very not very committal. But the main thing is that you start becoming consistent with it. She makes it so easy to do it. And she starts teaching you in these meditations what it's like to be kind to yourself, what to say to yourself. So I hope everybody's got this down because I'm going to take it off. And Sharon Salzberg has a lot of other books too. So, but this one, if you just want to do something little and you want to just see meditation in a different way from somebody who has learned and taught it for 30 years, she's a good one. Okay, so the most simple way of talking about a loving kindness meditation excellence. What did you just say, Miss Julie? Switch the drop button. Let's see. Excuse me, everybody, while I just see what she says. Excellent. Switch the drop down to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see what I write. Oh, that's a good idea. Thanks, Julie. I didn't think I was going to do that. I thought I was going to keep it a little bit more different, but that's fine for now. If everybody can just see it, that's just great. But the most important thing is pay attention to me. Okay, so here is, let me see, let me get rid of this too. Okay, so loving kindness meditation, the most simple way to put it is that when you start saying something to yourself, the first thing that you do is you make it really simple. So a loving kindness meditation, this is a loving kindness meditation in its most simplistic form. It's number one, first, you always start with yourself. And what you do when you talk to yourself is you wish that may you be happy. You're talking to yourself. So you can say, may I be happy. May I be healthy. And may I be free from all suffering. And this is a very simplistic meditation. She goes on, there's all different ways to say it. You can add in your own stuff. But basically, all you're saying to yourself is, this is what you wish for yourself today. And once you do it for yourself, then you go outside of yourself. And then you make the same loving kindness meditation to somebody that you love and care about a lot. And then you picture them in your head and you say it again to them. And then from there, you pick somebody that's a little bit farther away from you, not as close and loving. And you might do 5 or 6 people. And the last person is a difficult person in your life, someone that would be difficult for you to do this. But after you've gone through this little meditation, sometimes by the time that you get there, you may or may not be able to do it. But what you do is you just try to keep wishing others the same thing that you wish for yourself. But notice that the way this loving kindness meditation works is that you always start with yourself. And you know what? Sometimes for some people, it's really difficult to wish it for themselves first. So this in itself is a beginning. Now, I have got so much to talk to you about, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because there's coaching to do, but I want to give you a technique that is with loving kindness meditation, but it's from a totally different person. So this is from Martha Beck. And I love this special way of being able to handle urges, because we always talk about urges, and I've given you ways to handle it. And I'm going to give you something a little bit different based on loving kindness. So with Martha, way back in the days when I first started working with her, And I didn't understand much about loving kindness meditation. I didn't understand a lot of things. I was just learning. But one of the things that she talked about was that when she started doing coaching with people, one of the things that she saw happening is that the happier people got, they started losing weight, which is how she started writing books about weight loss. But one of the things that she came up with that I have not used with any of you, but I think would be brilliant, is this idea of using a loving kindness meditation in a visualization practice. So what she came up with, she said it's like when we go and we have an urge, we have different thoughts in our heads. So in internal family systems, IFS, which is a therapy model for helping you deal with the different parts in you, one of the things that happen is you have different parts that want different things. So when it comes to, let's just say there's a cookie there, your favorite cookie, the most favorite cookie in the whole world, the one that you can only get wherever it is that you are, only ever, and they're the best. And this is all the stuff that you're saying to yourself, right? Because I know some of you, that's what you do. Okay, so if you were going to use this special technique, what you would do is you would put your hands out and visualize a small little person in one hand and a small little person in the other hand. And on the left would be what we would call the dictator. And notice yourself small and dressed up in a soldier outfit with whips and chains right here. And then over here, have yourself here little again, but as what we call the wild child. She's in rags, she's dirty, she's wild. She's like an animal. And picture her here. And the dictator is the wild child's going, man, let's eat that cookie. You should have it. I want it. I love it. You know, it's kind of like the primitive part of your brain, yelling and screaming how bad you want it, the toddler, whatever you want to call it. But right now we have this wild child that just wants what she wants, that she has no parameters, no social skills, nothing. She just wants it. Okay. And then we have this dictator over here who knows that the worst thing that this wild child could do is go eat those cookies. And so she's got parameters and rules, and she's starting with the whips and the chains and telling this wild child how she's got to stop this nonsense and get her act together. And she's never going to get thin, and she's never, if she doesn't do what she's supposed to do. Okay. Now, usually what we do is we just have a big fight, right? And usually what happens is the wild child will win. Usually. Or if the dictator wins, you feel like crap anyway. It's like no matter what. But here's an idea using the loving kindness meditation is visualize the dictator in one hand, the wild child in the other hand, and close your eyes and see them. And then what you do is you become the observer of these two parts. You separate yourself because you are not them anyway, right? Because you're talking to them. You can't be you and talking to them. So there's you, and then there's these parts. It's very interesting in IFS, but for now, it's just once you're talking to them, you become you. You become your higher self. You become the observer. You understand what I mean? So it's like then you use the loving kindness meditation and you go to the dictator first and you say to the dictator, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free from suffering. And then you go to the wild child and you say the exact same meditation to her. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. And I think it would really be good as I'm talking about it is that you actually could start with yourself, you the observer. I never thought about this before, but you actually could. May I be happy? May I be healthy? May I be free from suffering? And then you wish these two different parts the same thing. And the idea of a loving kindness meditation is that it calms the inside of you down. You, meaning you, the observer. And once you separate this, you are not that anymore. And it becomes much bigger, which is the whole idea behind loving kindness meditation, is you start feeling this loving kindness towards anybody you're thinking about. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you practice it. And you can practice it with urges, but you can practice it with anything when you notice that somebody inside of you is not being very nice. And usually that's somebody, you can just call her the dictator. And the thing about both of these parts that I think is really important to realize is both of these parts really want the best for you. they're not trying to be horrible and mean. They're trying, they want the best. So the dictator knows the rules, knows what you want, and is just trying really hard to help you get it. And the wild child on the other side is the exact same. She knows what you want, and she wants to help you get it too. And what you're doing is you're going, you know what, I wish all of us health, happiness, and freedom from suffering. So I hope that helps as I start bringing you on for coaching. Yes? Did you like that? Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, Julie, you love it, of course. Okay. So you know what I'm going to do is that took, like about 14 minutes. And so we might go over a little bit, but I'm going to try and stay on time. And what I'm going to do first is I want to bring on Caroline onto the video. So I am going to, and I know that I have to go through my little thing. So first I'm going to allow her to talk. And then I am going to bring her on video. I am going to promote her to panelist. And it's going to take me a minute. Just give me a minute while I do it. Okay, Caroline, you should be able to go to your video now and start it. So if you go to your video on the bottom left, you should be able to get on, and you can talk to me now too. There you are. Hello, Caroline.
Can you see me okay?
I can see you okay. Can you see me and hear me okay?
I can.
Beautiful. I'm going to turn you up just a little bit. Okay. All right. So you wrote me, and I know you very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very interesting. I want to read a little bit about what you wrote to me.
Okay.
And I think everybody read it anyway, because when I send this out, I really like everybody to just read. Did you get to read what everybody else wrote too?
No.
Okay. It's in there for you to read.
Okay,
like,
I didn't spot it. Right.
It's okay. It's okay. You're on video with me now. That's step number one. Okay.
Right.
So one of the things that you wrote is, let me just get to you. Okay. So first of all, you told me that you've lost a couple pounds and things are going well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of, instead of reading it, I'm just saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me where I'm wrong if I don't. What do we got? What are you petting?
Oh, a dog.
Oh, hello. Yes. No. What's his or her name?
She's called Misty.
Misty. Hello,
Hmm?
Misty. Oh my gosh. How sweet.
If I shut them out, they'll just whine, so they're better off here.
Okay, well, they actually is quite kind. I think it's quite a kind thing for you to do for yourself.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So number one, you're talking about, hey, I've lost a couple pounds. So, and then you're also talking to me about that now that you've lost a couple more pounds, you have this idea about rewarding yourself because you're losing weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your other question is, because I think everything is tied in, your overall question is how do I manage my hunger to coincide with meals if the timing of them is often out of my control? I don't think that's your main question, but I'm happy that you wrote it down as your main question.
Yeah.
I think the main problem basically is what happens when you start losing weight. And number two, what does it matter in the end if you're hungry or not? Why do you want to control your hunger so much?
Yes. Yeah. I'd agree with both those.
So I think like for people who are listening who don't know you as well as I know you, is that basically what you have found out over working with me is, number one, you're best off without flour and sugar for many reasons, many of them that have to do with your own physical well-being, and for a certain type of illness that you have that absolutely responds better to no flour, no sugar. So you're pretty good without it. Even though, do you ever want to eat flour? Well, flour, you're gluten-free, so you'll eat gluten-free stuff.
Yes.
And do you call it a joy eat when you do it?
No.
Okay.
I don't do it that often, but I do it enough, and I don't call it a joy eat, and I don't approach it as a joy eat.
Okay. Are you calling it fuel?
Yes.
Okay. Like, give me an example.
Like crisp breads.
Crisp
You
breads.
know, we've talked about these before.
Yeah, I've heard about them. I've heard about them. Yeah,
So
we've
I will
talked
eat
about
them. Yeah. But if I have them, I do tend to eat them. I don't have them in the house that often, but if I do, I might eat them with a meal or something. But they're definitely, in my book, flour, because they're made, even though they're not wheat flour, they're still made of flour. And I probably ought to approach them as a joy eat rather than fuel food.
Well, what I noticed is when I was coaching you is that usually whenever they were in there, it was a fog.
Exactly. I think anything that's got carbohydrate like that in it is a fog for me, really.
Is what you think.
Yeah.
Noticing
yeah.
what goes, not anything that has a carbohydrate.
No, but sort of anything that's processed carbohydrate like that.
Yeah, and I think there's physiological reasons that actually happens.
Yeah.
Right. So you're just, and you're saying that, because I think you could call it whatever you want and respond to it however you want. But
Yeah.
what I noticed in your food journals, it seems like you used them when you were fogging.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that's right.
Okay. So now the question is two things, and then we have to decide which way we want to go, what you want to be coached on. Because to me, it's like, I think everybody on this call has a problem at some level when their weight starts going down, what happens in their own model and in their own head, because it'll make it really hard for you if fogging is the way that you like to go when you're rewarding yourself.
Yes.
Right? But the other thing is for you is that you have definitely, over the weeks that we worked, your appetite, your actual physical hunger scale is just very, very low, and it doesn't happen a lot. And so you have this idea in your head is that either you have to control it so you can eat with other people or eat when there's meals, or you're fogging when you're a little hungry, and then when the meals come, you're not hungry.
Exactly. That sums it up exactly.
Okay,
and then I end up in a muddle.
Okay. So what would you say the muddle is? Because that's probably the thought.
Yeah. Well, if I'm on my own in the house and I've got healthy food in the fridge, I'm kind of fine about eating when I'm hungry and stopping when I'm full. And I can wait 6 hours, 7 hours if I'm not hungry, and then eat at the appropriate time. But it's when I'm trying to match my life either with family or with we go out quite a lot, as you know. I end up feeling that I must eat at a time when I'm not hungry, and managing my hunger so I'm appropriately hungry at the time that we are going out or whatever it is the bit I find tricky.
Okay, so what you think is tricky is your thought, right? Because you actually have, listen to me, I want everybody to pay attention. I'm not going to write it down yet. Okay, you have one circumstance.
Yeah.
You're at home and there's food in the refrigerator. I'm just going to say that.
Right.
So, okay. And your thought is, I can manage my hunger perfectly well. Yeah. That's your thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So the problem, you think the problem is the circumstance.
What, you mean going out or?
Yes.
Eating with other people. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So it's going out to eat with people.
Yes.
And we could get really, really specific with the circumstance, which would probably help you if we got really specific. But for now, I think you have kind of like a major thought about this circumstance that makes you feel, you said muddle, but I'm just going to say confused.
Okay.
Is muddled and confused kind of the same thing?
Yeah, I feel like I'm not in control as I am when I'm on my own and I'm doing all the right things and I'm eating between the twos and all that, where I feel, I've got this and I can do it. And then the moment there's some external factor, I feel I don't know what I'm doing anymore, I suppose. And as that happens quite a lot, I'm quite often not knowing what I'm doing.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Right? So
yeah.
your thought is, I'm not in control when
Mm.
I'm not on my own.
Yeah, I suppose that's exactly right, because I'm literally not in control of when the food is put on the table or what the food is, or
It's all your
am I?
thoughts. That's your thoughts.
Yeah. No, but it's a fact that I'm not putting the food on the table. So
But
I'm
that
not.
doesn't mean you're not in control.
No, I can control whether I eat it or not.
You know, it's like the control thing is an interesting way, the way you use it, because even in your letter, it's like when I'm out, I'm not in control.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
the food comes out, as if that's a huge problem. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
but that's your thought.
Mm. Yeah. I was thinking of it as a fact, but
I
suppose
know, I
yeah, yeah.
know, I know. It's like, okay, so what you're saying is that when I'm at a restaurant or when I'm at somebody's house,
Which is
I don't
worse than
know,
really.
I don't know when they're going to serve me my food.
Mm.
Is that basically what you're
Yes. Yeah.
what you're calling out of control, when it's going to come?
Yeah, when it's going to come, and then if it's at someone's house where they give you the whole plate of food already on the plate, then you don't even have control over how much you're going to have, or up to a point what you're going to have.
That's such a lie. They can put whatever they want on your plate,
And then you don't have to eat it. Yeah.
And you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah, I think I'm better. I'm definitely better at doing that than I was.
I know, but you're still thinking the same thought.
Yes, I am.
So the only thing that has to change is that thought that you still keep thinking.
Okay.
I like the thought that I'm not in control when I'm not on my own.
Okay. Yeah, that does kind of sum it up, doesn't it?
Or what you mean by not on my own is when I'm eating with other people.
Yeah.
Isn't that basically it?
Yeah. Although obviously it's easier if it's in my own house and it's my own children or something, because in the end I don't feel I have to eat the same as them in my own house.
Well, thank goodness for that your thought is changing a little bit. But do you see that you're just, it's all sort of the same
I'm making up, I'm just making up categories.
Yes, yes. And that we have done this work from day one.
Yeah.
With you, with what happens with other people, what's happening with other people when you're eating with them, your concerns.
Yeah.
Right.
Like eating the cake in church, if you remember.
I remember, like a lot of things about, if somebody gives you some food, what do you have to do with it? But the whole thing, I think it's getting clearer. What's going on in your brain is that you don't think you're in control.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's true. I think the other person is.
Yeah. I'm not in control when I'm with other people. They are. So I'm going to fine tune this just a little bit, and you're going to see me scratching things out. And I want everybody, this is how you're working. When you're working a model, this is how you work a model. It's like you get a little bit clearer each time.
Yeah.
So it's not that there's anything wrong with this thought. It's going to take you to the same place. But I'm not in control when I'm with other people. They are.
I can see that's not very helpful.
I'm glad you can see it, but when you're talking in your head, it sounds like that's exactly what's going on, because your whole letter is filled with how out of control you are when you're with other people. As if you think they're controlling it.
Yeah, so the point is, it's not about managing my hunger ahead of time. It's doing the appropriate thing when I'm there in the circumstance.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I'm serious. Yes. Oh my God. So wait, do you know what you said is your intentional model?
Okay.
What was it? What was that thought? And then I'll do intentional in a minute. What was that?
What I said was, it's not managing my hunger before the event. It's whatever it is, doing the right thing when I'm there. Didn't I? Something like that?
Yes.
Because I was thinking, I was thinking I have to manage everything in advance so that I can then do what my hostess or whatever it is wants me to do. Whereas actually, it doesn't matter what I've done before. I have to do what's right at the event.
All I have to do is pay attention to my hunger in the moment.
I might have no friends left by the end of it if I keep
Well,
telling
that's
them I don't.
probably where we keep coaching, is that
Yeah.
that's why you do this, is because you think you're going to lose friends.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is another model, but I'm just going to go with
yeah.
what you said, but I don't know that you can go there, but all I have to do is pay attention to my hunger in the moment.
Yeah. Because I also probably end up messing up the rest of the day by trying to eat or not eat when I am or I'm not hungry, in order to try and be appropriately hungry when we're going out. So I probably mess up the rest of the day as well.
Probably what happens is you start talking to yourself too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my guess is when you start talking to yourself, it's not really nice.
Probably not.
Probably not. So this model right here, let's just look at this, is that when I'm not in control, when I'm with other people and they are, and you feel confused or just out of control.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Out of control is.
Everybody look.
Plan.
Yeah, out of control. And the action is eat when not hungry.
Yeah.
And get more confused with next meals, with next time's
next
meals.
Yeah.
So what's the result of eating when you're not hungry and confusing yourself more around food?
Well, I eat more than I should, and I'm confused. And I'm not in control.
You're not in control when you're with other people,
No,
just like you thought. You prove
it. Also, worse than that, because it's not just when I'm with the other people, it kind of extends into the time around then as well, before and after.
Yeah. So, the result is that I'm not in control, is you stay out of control.
So the action should be out of control, yeah.
Around food, with or without other people.
Yes, yeah, that's right. It kind of.
So your aha moment, and it came to you organically, and then your brain's coming like, I just don't know about that. But the organic moment you had, I hope everybody saw that, is you totally saw that the only thing that mattered is eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, and it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. It's that simple. Right? And when you start telling yourself all this other stuff is when you start feeling confused and out of control.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to really watch it, as you know, because your mind wants to go here, because you got a big thing about pleasing other people and what they're thinking when you're eating and what's going on in their heads when you're eating.
Yeah.
The only thing that happens from that when you do that is you get out of your own business, and you can't stay connected to your own hunger, and you can't eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full.
Yeah. That all makes perfect sense.
So eating with other people So can you absolutely buy that all I have to do when it's time to eat is follow my hunger cues?
Yeah, in general, yes.
In general? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, all the time, yes.
Do you believe that can you go there right now and create an intentional model off of that? Do you believe that you can do that? Think that?
I think so.
100%?
I hope so. Yes.
Okay, then we're going there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as long as your brain buys it.
It really does. No, it really does. I really do know that is the key. And I know that's where talking about this eating out and stuff is where it's going wrong, is specifically because I'm not prioritizing that.
Because you're thinking something different.
Yeah.
You change your thinking.
I mean, it's not, for example, suddenly being overwhelmed by a desire to eat a ton of dessert. It's not that. It is that, for me, the real issue is the business of not eating when I'm hungry and stopping when I'm full.
Because you're trying to please other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So if you weren't trying to please other people and you really were in the business of pleasing yourself and listening to your body, because that's your major thought problem, is these other people.
It is. You're right.
Right. So when you talk about rewarding yourself as you start losing weight, my guess is you start going back to the old thinking, is that you don't have to pay attention to your hunger anymore when you're with other people. You can just do what you used to do because it's easier. I think
that sounds very, very likely.
Yes. Yeah. So when you actually, all I have to do is pay attention to my hunger, regardless of who I'm with. Regardless with who I am with. And what's interesting, see, when you told me your circumstances, like when you're at home, you have no problem.
I'm much better.
Because you think something that's more similar to this.
Yes. Yeah.
So the
I
only
can make my own decisions.
You can always make your own decisions.
Yeah, I know.
No, you don't. You didn't know. You actually thought you couldn't.
That's also true, but I do know now.
Yes, you do.
You've explained this to me.
Right. So the feeling is all I have to do is pay attention to my hunger regardless of who I am with. Then the feeling is either confident, empowered.
Yeah, all those, yeah.
Which one's the
empowered.
Action, eat when hungry, stop when full. The result
is that I'm
pay attention to hunger, lose weight. Life is good.
Yeah, no, it all makes sense.
So you really pay attention to that. And I think everybody else that's watching this, it's really important because I know most of you on here have the same problem. It's this wanting approval from somebody else when you're eating.
Yeah, I guess, do you, just in practical terms, do you say to somebody beforehand that, you don't want to eat this and that, or do you just hand the food back, or?
Just eat what you want, be quiet.
Yeah.
You think like, okay, let's say they give you a plate of food. And you're not very hungry, so you taste everything and that's it. Say, that was delicious, but I'm just not really hungry. It was delicious. Thank you so much. Or you just eat it and you don't say anything. It's like once it doesn't matter, it won't matter what you say. Right now, the only reason is it matters so much to you. You think you have to say something. And the reason you have to say something is because you think you have to please these people. Like the reason they're with you, the only reason you're with them is so that you could eat their food and they have to watch you. And that's how come you have a good friendship.
Yes, you're quite right. Yeah. You just say, no, thank you, I'm full.
I don't know. That's like what little kids do all the time. They just don't care and nobody cares, right? Like, oh, she's just not hungry. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, here, honey, please eat it. They just don't eat it.
Yeah.
Right? You just get over it.
Yeah.
But if you want to go, oh my God, this is the worst food I ever ate and I can't believe you did it. That's rude. But if you're just going, no, thanks, I'm just not hungry anymore. It was delicious, whatever. Thank you. And then you just enjoy the company.
Yeah.
That's your work.
Yeah, that is my work.
Yeah. And then practicing some loving kindness.
Yep.
Okay, you good for now?
Yep, thank you.
Okie doke. I'm going to pull somebody else out. I'm going to put you back into the stands.
Right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, and we'll say hello to somebody else. And it was good seeing you.
It's nice to see you too.
Okay. All right, here we are. All right, that was a good one. All right, so this is what I'm thinking is I know everybody got a lot out of this. So I'm going to bring Michelle on. Julie, I can stay longer if you guys want to. And Julie, I can pull you on at the end and we can have a quick chat. But I'm going to pull Michelle on right now and see what's happening with her. Okay. Oh, I got Julie. Oh, I don't mean you, Julie. Blah, 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 blah. No. Mute. 1 second. Okay, there's Michelle. I'm going to unmute Michelle. And then I'm going to, oh, she's up already. Hi. Michelle, can you hear? Okay, let me see if I can bring you on video, darling.
Okay.
Can you hit your video? Down at the bottom?
Let's see here. Am I there? Do you see
Not
me?
on yet. Does it say anything?
Should I look at settings? It says start video and it has
Yeah,
a line
start
through it.
video.
Oh.
Ah! Hi, it's the first time we've seen each other.
I know. I love your hair.
Thank you.
So curly and cute.
All right. Now, it's so good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
All righty. So let's see where we're going to start with you. You've cleaned out your closets, which was a big thing, and you're only keeping the clothes that fit you. All right. And let me see what else you wrote, because that's what I remember. Okay. So I guess where we're going to talk, and it's going to be pretty similar to Caroline too, which will be good. So you're still wrestling with managing house guests and my stress and victim role around that.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that sound with what Caroline's talking about?
Very similar.
How?
In that I'm worried about upsetting versus pleasing other people. And what I know
What's
is
the
that
difference?
Yeah, what I know is that I don't like having house guests for more than 3 days.
Okay.
And I'm afraid to tell people that 3 days is my limit because I'm afraid of hurting their feelings.
Okay, so what do you do instead?
I let them stay as long as they want. And this last time I got sick, I got a horrible cold because I was so stressed out and exhausted from having house guests when I'm busy with work and my kids, and I can't host people for 6 days when my family life is busy, and I just don't want to do it. I don't want to have them here for that long. But I'm really afraid to tell my family and friends that, I only want you here for 3 days. And in fact, I was talking to my mom who lives in town and has a lot of guests also. I was telling her, I think I'm ready to say I have a 3-day limit. And she says, oh, it's so hard to get to Montana. It's so expensive for people to get to Montana. That's why they stay as long as they do.
Okay.
And
is she right?
It is expensive to get to Montana, yes. And so sometimes people don't come to Montana frequently, but they want to come for a long time.
Well, sweetheart, guess what? Those are your thoughts. Okay.
So I have a lot of thoughts.
I know, but everything you're telling me are just thoughts that you have, that it's expensive. I don't even know what that means, but you think you know what that means. And to me, it could be nothing. To you, it could be expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they come, they have to stay for a long time. That's your thought.
Yep.
Why do you think that?
Because
Why do
that's
they
what
have-
everybody does. That's what they do. They come for a
Well,
long
why
time.
does everybody do that?
Probably because I don't say, I would love to have you come for 3 days.
I
Not
mean,
longer.
so give me a scenario. Give me a really specific example so that we could actually put it in the C line, and tell me how this relates to what you put in your mouth too. If we can end up with that in the A line also.
Okay.
Okay.
So my aunt and uncle, who are retired and elderly, wanted to come to Montana.
Okay,
And
so
they came
elderly, we can't put in the C line because
Okay.
we don't know what that means.
Well, they're
But it's-
retired. They're retired. So they don't, this is the thought. They're not living the working life.
Oh my gosh, Julie, you're on here too. I hear you laughing. I guess I didn't mute you. That's hysterical. You can just stay on here and laugh.
Sorry.
Go ahead and laugh. I know it's
Okay. We're all kindred souls.
okay.
Here.
So my aunt and uncle come visit for a week from Wisconsin. That's my circumstance.
You can
that's
put they're
what
retired.
Yeah. My retired aunt and uncle come to Montana for a week to stay with me.
Now, tell me why they're coming for a week.
I don't really know. That's what they,
Okay, come back
that's
to
what
me.
they
What do you
booked.
mean you don't know?
Well, they booked their flight and they said, this is when we want to, they asked
Okay,
me.
so they booked their flight and then they called you and told you they're coming?
No, they asked me first.
Oh, what did they ask you?
I can't remember for sure,
Specific.
but I think they said something
Specific.
like, how about we come such and such week in September? And I said, yes, we'll be around. We'll be in town.
Okay,
But
so
I
that's
don't-
why that's why
but
they
I don't-
did that.
I don't remember them saying, how about we come for 1 week? I remember them saying like, how about that last week in September? Is that a good week?
Let me think.
They actually emailed, they were like, is this a good time to visit? Sort of.
And so it was an email.
Mm-hmm.
So you emailed them back and said, yes,
Yeah, we're around. Yeah.
we're around. Okay, so that's the C.
Mm-hmm.
Retired aunt, let me think. We got a few C's. So retired aunt and uncle emailed
Mm-hmm.
to come visit certain dates. Michelle said, we're here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they booked a flight for 1 week.
Yep.
That's the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I think for practical purposes, I am going to take off this part.
Okay.
I want to see what goes on in your mind about this part.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is when, like you're acting like just because they say this, like you don't say anything.
Right. I didn't say
know.
what I wanted to say.
Well, and then you don't understand. I don't know. Everybody comes because it's so far and so expensive. That's your
Mhm.
thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's your thought.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's really expensive and far, right?
Yep.
To come here.
Yep.
That makes you feel.
It makes me feel put upon. It makes me feel resentful. It makes me feel trapped. I mean, I could go on. It makes me feel powerless.
Resentful, but in the A line, you say, come on down.
Yeah.
So as soon as they say this to you, do you feel resentful as soon as they say this to you?
No, because I do want to see them.
Right.
I do want to see them, and I'm glad they're coming. The problem is that they just stayed for too long. And the
Okay,
problem
so
is
it's not resentful yet.
right.
you have a thought that it's really expensive and a far way to come. I think that's what you think when they say this.
Mm-hmm. I also think I'm glad that, I mean, I do feel like glad that they're going to come and I get to see them. There is that feeling in there too. Like before I get the email that we're going to be here for a whole week, I'm feeling like, oh, it'll be nice to see you. I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to spend time with you.
Okay. So for the unintentional model, I just think it's this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because wanting to see them creates a nice positive feeling, but your actions aren't reflecting a positive feeling.
No, they are not.
Right. And
Not
so
at
the
all.
reason you say come on down is because you feel guilty, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's really expensive and far to come here, so it makes you feel guilty
Mm-hmm.
to say anything.
Yeah.
So instead you said, like, just come on down, no boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have zero boundaries, right? You don't say
Right.
anything.
Right.
And you're so shocked when they're coming for a week.
Mm-hmm.
As if they put something upon you as if you have nothing to do with this.
Right.
Right. Like, so that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So come on down. And of course, when you tell them to come on down, you're probably thinking something to yourself already. Tell me where I'm wrong. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking,
in the A line.
shit, they're going to come for a week.
Say to self, shit, they're going to come longer.
Yeah.
Come on down is what you say. And then to yourself, you go, shit, they're going to stay longer. So you already start creating a lot of angst in yourself in your A line.
Yeah.
And the result is you let them, you have no boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You have no boundaries around visitors. Because it's really expansive and it's really hard to get there.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens with the food? You asked about
that. Oh, yeah,
that.
I forgot.
So,
Yeah.
So I actually eat pretty well when they're here. And then as soon as they leave, I had 2 big storm eats this weekend because they were gone. And I think I was like, instead of feeling trapped, like these people are in my house and I can't get away from them and this, you know, all that feeling, I'm like, whoo, they're gone. Maybe it's a reward. Maybe it's I need freedom, and I find freedom in overeating instead of having the freedom to say to them, you can come for 3 days and then I need those next 4 days to like do my own thing.
And your own thing for you, your reward
Mm-hmm.
is using food to make yourself feel better for
Mm-hmm.
putting up with so much shit.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting now, I can see very clearly that's what I'm doing.
When you're doing it?
When I'm doing it, yeah. I mean, or shortly thereafter. And I think what I would really rather do is, instead of having to do the storm eat and clean up all my own thoughts and getting, you know, maybe a little bit angry or upset with myself, I'd rather just skip that whole step and just tell them, please come for 3 days. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like it's just as hard to deal with the storm eat and the feeling physically yucky and emotionally yucky, and then have to like go through all this work of modeling and thinking and blah, blah, blah. That's a lot. That's hard for me. I mean, it's very rewarding and very helpful, but it's a lot of work. And I think I'm at the point where I would just rather say, I don't want to go through all that. I just want to say to these people, come for 3 days.
How bad do you want to do that?
It's getting pretty bad. It's like a 9 or a 10. It's
good.
It's coming. It's about to happen.
Okay. So then let's think intentionally,
mm-hmm.
because the thought it's really expensive and it's far to come here. And I also think in your thought, and you don't want to upset anybody.
No, I don't. Exactly.
That's your thought. I mean, like, it's really expensive and it's far to come here and you don't want to upset them.
Right.
That's probably
like,
your biggest
there's a piece of me
thing.
that thinks like, you know, if I tell them they can come for, you know, we would love to host you for 3 days and then we need to get back to our lives, that they're going to be hurt or angry or it's going to damage our relationship. But honestly, having people here for too long I can't stand it. And it is damaging relationships in my own head. I don't know what their experience is, but I'm sure that,
Well,
they must pick up on Michelle is overwhelmed, Michelle is exhausted, Michelle is cranky.
well, it's energy that you're putting out, right? And for
Mhm.
sure, you love, I mean, the reason you want them here is because you want to be with them. And then
Mhm.
what you do is you're walking around feeling resentful the whole time they're there. So you tell me how that's a great relationship for you,
No, it's not.
right? It's not what you want,
No.
right? And what do you think? I mean, like, let's just say that you said, yeah, you can come pick 3 days that are your best days. This is my
Mhm.
time. And
Mhm.
don't write down what to do. Don't write yet because you're in the A line already. Okay, tell me what to say, and that's what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
Because the problem isn't what to do,
Right.
it's why you're thinking what you're thinking
Mhm.
that's creating your problem.
Mhm.
So, what to do will come very organically when you can clean up your thinking about what they're going to think of me if I tell them that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, I'm saying to you, like, what if what they think is what a bitch?
Mhm.
I mean, this is what you're afraid of.
Yep.
What a bitch. We're not going.
My first feeling is relief.
Okay. But that's what you're afraid of. I
Yeah.
mean, worst case scenario is they decide you're a bitch and they never want to see you again.
Yeah.
That's your biggest fear, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. But what's been happening all of these years is that you are a bitch all the time inside yourself.
Mhm.
Bitch, 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 moan, 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 storm, 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 storm. I hate this. I'm a victim. It's terrible.
Mhm.
That's where you're living.
Yeah.
And you're saying this is great as long as I don't upset anybody else.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
And like in reality, if you really want a good relationship with somebody, don't you want to be yourself?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right. So unintentional, this does not create anything that you want. Okay. So let's create something more intentional. And maybe for you, just like with Caroline, she had her organic moment where
Mhm.
it just came like, and I think that just happened to you too, where
Mhm.
you go, oh, I'm not sure. This is so great.
Right.
Like, what am I saving myself from?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm the same circumstance. I don't want to write the whole thing out.
Mhm.
But, retired.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. So how do you want to feel about them coming? Let's just go right to the F line. Well, how do you want to feel? Like, you get to create your feeling. How do you want to feel when they call you and ask you this stuff?
Excited, loved, connection, you know, like looking forward to seeing them. Glad they want to come.
Because you really like them, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed that I ruined the whole time with them in my own head because I'm so resentful of how long they're here.
Okay. So
Nope.
first of all, we started out with loving kindness.
Mhm.
So you have to go there first. You can't be pissed anymore.
Yeah.
It's like the only reason you've been doing this is because you're so afraid of hurting somebody else's feelings.
Mhm.
I mean, really afraid,
Yeah.
frightened to
Yep.
death of hurting somebody else's feelings.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking like a little, we're talking about a lot,
Mhm.
right? And so wishing yourself to be happy and
Mhm.
healthy and free from suffering. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like the dictator and the wild child. The wild child, just tell him, it doesn't matter. Da, 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 da. And then you got the dictator going like, you can't say that. That would be the worst thing in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
And then you just wish them both. Like,
Mhm.
they're both out for your own good. They're just
Mhm.
fighting with each other. And it makes
Yeah.
it hard for you.
I think I also am having a fear of being labeled a difficult family member.
Of
Like,
course. Yeah.
and everybody talking about me and being like, "Oh my gosh, Michelle is such a bitch. She won't let us come to Montana for a week."
Right. That's your risk that you're taking.
Mhm.
That you're going to become, that everybody is going to say how difficult Michelle is.
Mhm.
And nobody's going to want to come see you. And then you're not going to have anybody come visit anymore, and you're going to have a home with nobody. It's going to be so great.
That would be great.
Isn't that funny? But that's kind of, in a way, you want a little bit more space in your own home, and you have people coming all the time, and it's you have this fight inside of you,
Mhm.
right? So being able to just wish both sides, it's okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, it's okay. Like, I get what's going on here. I mean,
Yeah, because
really,
I definitely do have those two feelings of like,
you have those two thoughts.
I want them to come. I don't want them to come.
Yes.
I can't wait to see them. Oh my gosh, it's going to be terrible.
Right.
You know, and it's, yeah, I hear what you're
But
saying.
then there is you,
Mhm.
the observer, who just watches this.
Mhm.
And then, in a very loving, kind of way, can think, now what would serve all of us?
Mhm. Yep.
Right? And it's like your biggest fear is that you're going to be labeled a difficult person. And we're not even going to model it, but actually that's another thought you have is
Mhm.
you don't want to be a difficult person.
Yeah.
That's another thought. That's another model in there.
Yeah.
But you're living with the difficult person 24/7.
Mhm. Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Right? And we're talking about loving kindness.
Mhm.
You can't be like that when you're difficult and you're telling yourself, as long as I'm the difficult one with me and nobody else knows, everybody's
Right.
saying, oh, Michelle's just great and wonderful and we just love her, as if you had control over what they think and feel about you.
Right. Right.
And the only person that you have control over is you.
Yeah.
And you're letting her go crazy.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if people could come under your control,
Mhm.
then you would be excited.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that most of the people that want to come see you, you want to see.
Yes.
Is
Definitely.
that like 100% of the time?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So the only problem is how you want to think about it so that you can feel excited. So in the A line, you tell them how long they can stay.
Yeah.
And then you enjoy yourself with them and stay connected to yourself, which means no storming.
And I think what I want to think is that my feelings are just as important as theirs. Maybe more so.
Okay. I think that's true, but why is that? Because you really want to see them.
Yeah.
So they're excited to come see you and you're excited to see them.
But only if they stay for a short period of time.
Right. And so your thought is I just, it's kind of like being true to yourself about the limit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, in order to be true to them, I have to be true to myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that creates excitement, though.
We're sort of like, if I want to offer my best self as a host, then I need to be my best self to myself first. Like I need to take care of myself before I can take care of guests. Like I need to, meet my needs before I can meet the needs of others. Like like, for example, I need to put my limits on before I can be like this fun host that has a good time with them.
I think your first thought is probably your most organic.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like that thought gives me permission to like ask myself, how am I feeling? And to go ahead and act on that. Even if it feels a little hard to say to them, you can only stay for 3 days. But like if I have my feelings at the top of my brain, then that's a thought I can believe.
Great. That's why you said it first.
Mhm.
And it's really good that you don't listen to me. I mean, seriously, because, I'm just putting things out and you know what feels right inside of you. So it's really nice that you're not trying to please me right now. I'm going like, oh, I'll just say whatever you say. You can just know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my feelings are just as important as theirs. Does that make you feel excited or
Mhm,
it
mhm,
does? Okay. Wonderful. And so then you tell them how long.
mhm,
And like what you say is not near as important as how you feel when you're saying
mhm,
it. If you're coming from resentment or guilt,
mhm.
it's going to come out different.
Yeah. Whereas if I'm coming from, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see you. We have these, pick a 3-day window during this time period and we will, we'll have a great time together. That's different than like, please don't come for more than 3 days.
Well, no, are just kind of like, I know this is a terrible thing to ask. And I know you must think
Right.
I'm terrible, but do you think you could just stay for 3 days?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay. And so the result is you respect your own feelings.
Mhm.
And get what you want.
Mhm.
My feelings are just as important as theirs. Yeah, I think it's good. You respect your own feelings and you do get what you want.
Mhm.
Your R line. And then you're also in the A line and it's all lined up.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Yep. And it's funny that really with you and Caroline, it's funny how much we allow other people to get into our models,
Mhm.
right? Where we become a victim of our own thoughts. And
Yep.
then we get mad at ourselves, right? When it doesn't go the way we want it to go.
Mhm.
And that's where you really have to use the self-kindness is even when you see yourself doing what you don't like,
Mhm.
you still have to be kind.
Yeah. And like be curious about why am I doing that as opposed to like, there you go again. You're, just like, what's going on, Michelle? Why are you
Right.
feeling that way?
Right. Right. I think you've got it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. Will you be able to stay on a little bit longer if I stay on a little bit longer?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to bring Julie up at least for a little bit. Let me just pull her up. Julie, I'm going to bring you up just for a little bit. I think you can start your video.
Okay, here I
Hey!
am.
Looks like you have the same kind of curls I have.
Yeah, I've lived with my whole life. Did you go through the chemical straightening when you were a teenager too?
Well, not
Yeah.
a teenager, like maybe about 4 years ago, and maybe
Oh, you did it then again?
I've gone off and on for years. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
All
So-
right, so we don't have a lot of time, but I just thought if there's something in particular you wrote to me, and
Actually, I got a whole lot out of Caroline and Michelle. I was applying it a lot to me, particularly Caroline. But Michelle, when I was giggling, it was that I was thinking of my best friend because you're just like my best friend Jan. You're a wonderful hostess. People love being with you, and that's where that was coming from. So it's kind of revealing. I have been really loving the morning pages. It's been opening up a whole lot of stuff for me. I just had another breakthrough this morning. What I've been doing is I've been pushing my activity off.
oh, you mean your activity, like moving your body?
Physical activity of moving my body. And so I actually spent some time going through some of my journals, like when I'd made my goal weight. And what I've realized is that my activity is way down and my urge is up, and I'm overeating on particularly nuts. and some other foods at times. And so it was very revealing to me, just that I had, when we had done the last coaching where we talked, that I kept saying, well, I don't know that I'm cured. Nah, I was cured that day. And it was really kind of fun that I just realized that no, these thoughts are easier to change than I think they are. So
It's a good thought.
yeah, it really is. So I'm not feeling a compulsion that I need anything particularly
Uh-huh.
to be coached on today. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So why do you think that it's hard to maintain the weight loss and lose this 20 pounds? That's a thought.
It
Why do you
is.
think that?
I've been playing with that thought. Why do I think that? I think
So,
it's because my weight, well, it's the model that's just reinforcing itself. My thought is that this weight is hard to keep off. So my feelings are, so you ready?
yeah, I'm keep
Yeah,
talking.
so the thought is it's hard to keep the weight off. So my feelings are,
What's the circumstance?
I've slowly gained 20 pounds over the last year.
Okay, so slowly gained is a thought because I don't know what that means. But you could put like you gained 20 pounds from last year to this year.
Correct.
Okay, so you lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, I lost 120.
You lost 120 and gained back 20.
Yes.
Gained 20 pounds in the last 12 months. Is that very specific? Was it 12
Yes.
months?
Last 12 months, yes.
What do you think about that?
I'm judgmental over it. I don't think I should have done that.
Okay. We have a problem.
I do have a problem.
Yeah, that's it.
It's my thoughts.
Yeah.
And it all surrounds my thoughts.
That shouldn't have happened.
That should not have happened.
How does that make you feel?
Defeated. Lack of, yeah. Trouble identifying feelings. It's,
well, for sure, it's negative emotion. We know
negative
that for
emotion,
sure.
yes.
And how negative is that? From a negative 10 is the worst to 0.
I'd say
That's
a
neutral.
9.
So
A
it's
9.
really a strong feeling. Is it guilt?
Guilt and failure.
Shame?
Shame. I like the word shame as a reflection of what I'm doing.
Yeah, a lot of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the beauty about shame is that as soon as you say it, you bring it up into the light, and it's really hard to feel it anymore. As soon as you bring it up.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of what just happened right now, is that you just said it. This is what the only reason you feel shame is because you have a thought.
Absolutely.
But it shouldn't have happened. And then anytime we fight with reality, we suffer. Okay, so when you're ashamed, what do you do?
There's more negative thought, and I foggy occasionally. I
think about your A line. Think about your A line in the last 12 months compared to the 12 months before that, because that's what you were just saying to me.
Right.
That you went back and you looked and you noticed that you were doing more moving in your body 12 months prior than you are this 12 months. So it's less active, it's less movement.
activity, less movement physically. More overeats.
More overeating and fogging. Yeah.
Fogging, correct.
Um,
I was doing it more with fear. You know, when I was really controlling, I was doing a lot of control from fear. And I'm in that process of moving away from like the dictator saying you're not going to do this, if you do this, you're um, not going to be able to walk anymore. You're going to have serious health consequences. And as I'm loosening up on that fear and that heavy control, I'm doing that action line.
here's really interesting something. What if it was always supposed to be like that? Like, this is what happens when you start changing your feelings. Like, when you go from fear to where you want to go, that maybe weight gain is just part of it until you figure it out.
Well, God, I love that thought. And what's interesting is now that you're saying that, some of that I've been thinking, because after last coaching call, with the whole realization of, yeah, Julie, it's okay. You can still love yourself and still not have that.
Mm.
And it was kind of like this morning, as I can still love myself and be more physically active.
Mhm.
I don't have to do it out of compulsion or a need or drive. I mean, you can have that drive, but it's out of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why do you think, see, like, I think for you, I think that you have a thought that maybe even, like, right now, I think this is part of the model
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't have happened. Like, you're not controlling the outcome with that thought because it did happen.
Right.
The result is it did. This doesn't help you.
Correct.
It shouldn't have happened. It did. You're not making it not happen by thinking that. It still happened.
Absolutely.
Are you like following me when I'm writing all these models and scribbling and stuff like that?
Yep. Totally following you.
Okay. Because I start scribbling, but I mean, like, what I think for people is like when they're watching me, this is the way you do models: is you scribble and you write and until you figure out your model.
Yeah.
So I think what you have is, I think you think that you shouldn't, like, that you're going, like, I think having fear was okay. You're thinking it's not. Like, I think you had a right to be afraid.
Yeah. It gave me the results I wanted.
But you also, it's like, that's how our brain does try to protect us. Like,
Yes.
if there's a lion out there,
Right.
you're going to be afraid. And you're going to do something because you see the lion.
So
Now, like, when you saw those 100 pounds and you were afraid, that might be a thought that you wanted to keep for a while. Like, it might not be a thought that wasn't something necessary at the time. Like, remember, the only thing is that you just have to be like the thought that you think. You have to like that you chose it. It's like, I think some people told you you might not be able to walk if you don't get some of this weight off.
Yeah.
I think that was actually a fact.
It was a fact.
Okay, so you were afraid, and now you're not.
And I'm trying to look at that as a negative thing when I really.
Well, it's interesting for a lot of people. How do you lose weight if you're not miserable? How do you lose weight if you're happy? I think most of us think we just can't be happy and lose weight. I think we all want to lose weight from a more like shame, fear, something negative. And I think for a lot of my clients, it's like, oh my God, like, how am I going to lose weight now when I'm so happy already? And I haven't even hardly lost any weight. Right? That was like big with Stephanie for a while. I mean, she just felt so good to feel happy. I mean, she thought all the weight loss was going to cause it for her. And it's like she got happy without it. And it's like, oh my God, now can I lose weight? So for you, maybe that's where you're at a little bit right now. It's like, well, if you're not going to come from fear anymore, like, it's okay that you did. And it's okay that it really allowed you to take good care of yourself. It's like you had to care about yourself. You
Absolutely.
had to stop yourself. You had to do all the things that you did to say, that's enough. I'm not letting you do this to her anymore. She deserves better. It's like standing up for yourself. It was just as much out of love, really.
Yeah. And I didn't feel deprivation during that period of time. I felt like I was changing my eating habits. But after I lost the weight,
Mhm.
in came the thoughts of, I'm not going to deprive myself.
The only reason you were deprived is because you were thinking something that made you feel deprived.
Absolutely.
What were you thinking? Deprivation doesn't come from the circumstance. Deprivation comes from your mind. Deprivation is a feeling. If you felt deprived, it's because you were thinking something, not because of that.
Right.
You know, like if you were whatever your weight was, plus 100 pounds, whatever it was, and whatever eating plan you had, because you just have an eating plan now too, right?
Yes, I do. Yep.
You felt deprived, but you didn't feel deprived because of this.
No, I did not.
Right. Why did you feel
All
deprived?
based on my thoughts.
Why? Why do you think you felt deprived?
Because at nights I was hungry. And there were times during the day I was hungry. And goes back to when we were coaching, during our one-on-one coaching,
Mhm.
that I would push so hard during the day that I didn't give myself that time. I've really made a lot of progress. And
Say more about that.
I felt when I started coaching with you, I thought I was hungry all the time. And when I was working, after I'd lost all my weight, I felt hungry. And I've realized a lot of that was emotional hunger.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of it is gone now.
Okay. And you don't have any fear. Or the only fear now, if you're creating fear, it's about you're afraid of gaining weight back.
Yes,
That's your fear.
that's my fear.
Mm-hmm.
So the deprived was that the thoughts that what I did before deprived me.
I was hungry and I couldn't eat.
And I was hungry and I couldn't eat. And as I'm making a lot of progress on getting rid of urges and changing my thinking and there are times where I get hungry and I go into a thought of, oh, I'm hungry right now. I need to restrict and deprive myself. Those creep in occasionally.
Okay. So you still create the feeling of deprivation at times.
I am at times, yes.
Okay. So that's just where it comes from.
Yes.
It's just coming from your mind.
Coming from a thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Deprivation is just a feeling that, deprivation and restriction comes from your mind. Doesn't
Yes.
come from anything up here.
No.
Right? So I'm not going to go through the model on that. I just wanted you to see that.
Perfect.
For everybody that has any type of restriction or deprivation going on in their feelings, it's not coming from a circumstance. It's not coming from your protocol. It's just coming from your mind thinking something. Well, I don't want to do that because I felt really restricted and deprived. The only reason is not because of what you were doing. It's just because you were thinking something.
Yes.
So maybe you have to be careful that some of the, maybe you had some thoughts as you were going through this process that you don't need to use anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're still using them and you don't have to.
There's a few there.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's just do something intentional for the sake of this call
Okay.
based on,
The 20 pounds.
mm-hmm,
My thought is this is exactly the way it was supposed to happen.
why?
Because it helps me become more aware of what I'm thinking. It is helping me grow without experiences, and sometimes having maybe something that I didn't think was going to happen. That was just part of the process to get me to where I need to become.
What if the thought is this is gaining 20 pounds is just part of the process of having permanent weight loss?
Yeah. I think one of my thoughts is no one that has permanent weight loss loses and gains.
Oh, really?
And that, yeah. Yes.
How strong is that?
Oh, I think it's like 80%, but I don't ask people.
Okay, so what if this is just part of the process?
Yeah, I like that thought. And I can
Because
believe.
I really think it is part of the process. Is I think like what happens is like in the old days of where I used to go is I always gained 30 pounds, lost 30 pounds, gained 30 pounds, lost 30 pounds. And then as I was getting in through this process, it wouldn't be that, it might be 10 pounds.
Okay.
Right. And then I would be dealing with what that was about.
Ah,
Because I mean, like for you, at least for me, my old pattern was of how I thought when I got to a certain weight. And it's those thoughts that started helping me gain weight again. It wasn't like that I didn't know what I was eating, or I went even to say I went back to my old eating. I just went back to my old thinking.
yeah.
And you're probably going back to some of your old thinking too. And you have lots of new thinking and stuff that you're managing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do this permanently, this is what you have to learn. It's like if you're gaining weight, it's not because you don't know what to eat or that you're restricting or depriving yourself. It's because you're thinking something. That's all. That you probably have thought many, many times over the last decades. You know, and I'm thinking like Caroline says, okay, well, I'm at this weight. It's time to reward myself just a little bit here. It's like, okay, I need a break. Let me take a break. Let me take a breather. It's like I can like remember thinking that a million times.
Yeah.
Right. And for you, it's like this is part of the process of how you keep this weight off.
Love it.
And then you don't have to punish yourself and you don't have to feel ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what would be a really easy thing to do? Is just go back to the way you always thought and just start gaining weight back. Because that's what you could do with that. That's what a lot of us did. It's like, well, okay, what was that? Oh, yeah. And then you start beating yourself up and getting worse. And pretty soon you're eating more and then you're getting worse. And it's like you're just going back and doing the whole thing again. And to catch it, that's how you change it. That's how you stop the
I
process.
shouldn't change it. Mm-hmm.
So for everybody, this is part of the process. How does that make you feel?
Curious.
So what happens in your A-line?
I experiment. I see it as part of my learning. That's a thought, of course.
Experiment with what?
With new thoughts, changing my thinking, new ways, like if I'm looking at foods or activities, particular activity, probably mixing things up, doing something different, seeing what works.
Okay, so you can experiment with new thoughts. You can also go back and look at your old food journals and what you used to do.
Yeah. There was very little difference.
Very little difference.
Yeah.
So the only difference is that something's going on in your mind that's making you feel like you need to eat.
Yes.
And if you can manage that, so, you know, you go back and you look at old food journals and pay attention to T's that drive overeating, which I'm sure you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As the joy of me having the journals was it was really easy to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I think that's really good for you to say to everybody else who might not be food journaling just because they stopped working with me. All of a sudden, the food journals or the mind body charts go out, right?
Yeah. Right. These
But
were
did,
journals from 2016.
yeah. And the reason that you keep all of them is why?
So I can go back and look at them.
Because you become very curious about it.
Yes.
Right. So when you can have a curious mindset, you can learn because this is a process. This will continue. I don't know that the process ever ends. It's just that you become curious and you figure it out and you don't punish yourself and you don't become ashamed. You just skip that process, skip that part of the process, the punishing part.
Exactly.
Because I don't know about you, but that was part of my process, is how badly I could beat myself up when I started gaining weight again.
Well, we just showed that that's part of my process too.
It is part of your process, and the way to permanent weight loss is to be on to this.
Yes.
That's the only way, not
Thank
what
you.
you put in your mouth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think you probably taught everybody else a thing or two about the process and what the A looks like over a long period of time. Is that you need to pay attention to what you're eating by writing it down. There might come a time when you don't. I mean, I don't do it anymore. There might come a time when you don't do it anymore. But right now, it still serves you.
It does serve me still.
Yes. And so, and you know that if what you were doing was working and then something isn't working, you have to figure out what part isn't working
Yes.
and change it.
On the way.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing. And I am just going to say goodbye from here. You're going to be the last person on this. We will say goodbye to you.
Goodbye and have a wonderful couple weeks until we coach again.
Yeah, third Thursday. So it won't be this Thursday. It will be next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, if you can send me, including you, Julie, send me anything at least 24 hours in advance. That's helpful for me. And if not, I'm going to call you anyway. So whatever.
Take care.
All right, Julie. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.